Hey there. Before we get into the episode this week, which we recorded before we started our fantasy draft, we wanted to just give you a quick update on where we are at last scoring. So if you caught the blog last week, Asmodeus was marked safe, and we looked back into our board, and unfortunately, Ryan picked Asmodeus.
Yeah, I'm already behind.
Woo!
Yeah.
Your picking 5 kicker strategies appears to be paying off.
My picking 5 kickers couldn't have gone wrong. So, as of this episode release, we're looking at Sam and I tied at 3 points, and Ryan way back in the back with 2.5 points.
It's basically over.
Yeah,
I'm done for.
It's okay. You and I think like 5 of the 11 of our patrons picked Asmodeus as well. So like there's like a 4-way tie for first right now, but several were behind as well.
I'm sorry, patrons, if you listen to me.
They all believed you, Ryan.
I think somebody posted. I saw somebody post on the Patreon that was like, think about the paperwork Paizo would have had to do to kill Asmodeus.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, that's fair, but wouldn't it have been fitting?
If that's not the most hell response I've ever heard, though, the paperwork would have been terrible.
It's true.
Yeah. So we'll dive into the episode, but be on the lookout for these updates and check out our Instagram. And remember, as of this recording, you can still join the draft if you would like. All paid levels can join in on the draft. Just pick your 6 deities and go from there. And with that, here's the episode.
Hello, welcome to Tabletop Finds. I'm Ryan.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sam.
So this week we are doing Archetypes.
Archetypes.
So we're going to go around. We've each picked 2 archetypes.
Yep.
Does someone want to explain what an archetype is real quick, just in case people are not entirely sure,
Yeah.
because that's a mechanic they haven't used?
Yeah. So archetypes are Pathfinder 2nd Edition's equivalent of both multi-classing and like variant classing. So it's basically ways to, as you level up, you stack on, instead of taking your normal class feats, you can instead take an archetype. And they have they have multi-class archetypes like barbarian, fighter, druid, where you kind of become part your own class and part the multi-class. But there's also a bunch of archetypes like all kinds of things, and we'll talk about a few today. But it's kind of ways to like flesh out your character in a way that you can still be a level 20 monk, but have more different flavor stuff.
Yeah, and like for any of our older listeners, I always thought of like the equivalent in 3.5 would be like the prestige classes.
Ooh,
like
yeah.
It's not quite a full 50-50, but it's a way to pull smaller aspects of other things into it.
It's just such a better way to do things than like, I've taken 5 levels of fighter, and then I have to dip 1 level into cleric, and then 2 levels into rogue,
I mean, that
and
was
then
dumb.
1 level into fighter, and then...
I did use an archetype to jump into champion for a character at one point, just because I was like, I need the armor class bonus.
Honestly, champion dedication is probably one of the best, because you could take the sentinel, but champion also gets you the full armor.
That was not one of my ones that I picked. Just fun fact, I have found the dedications to be very useful with certain builds.
The one, I guess, not even dips, but like picking up wizard just to get a little bit of arcane.
Get a couple cantrips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's like...
There's good reasons to dip them, the core classes.
So I don't know if anybody picked this, I apologize, but like 2 of the most useful, I think, are Beastmaster and Familiar Master.
How dare... I didn't pick those. I just wanted to yell
I just think of that
for
because
a moment.
anytime I've had some new players be like, oh, well, I want an animal companion. And in the past, you're like, okay, do you want to be a ranger, druid, or go screw yourself? Like, but now you can just be like, oh yeah, be whatever, and then just go into Beastmaster dedication and get an animal companion and call it a day. And like, it scales well, and it's just ways to like, I don't know, flesh out your character in a way that's cool.
More than a background, less than a class.
Yeah. There's also like the big, I know a lot of people play with the free archetype rule. It's so much so that it's built into Pathfinder. It's a variant rule that basically you just... Path Builder.
Yes.
Path Builder. Yes. Where you basically just get an archetype as you level up in addition to your class feats. People love that. So, yeah.
Well, Sam, would you like to go first?
Sure. So I assumed we were not just going to pick like regular classes. So
yeah.
As is traditional, we did not discuss this at
No,
all beforehand.
nothing.
One of these days it's going to bite us, but not today.
Maybe.
So the first one that I picked is an archetype that I have used because I just love it and wanted to talk about it. So the first one that I picked was Lore Master.
Lore Master.
So this is one that I have on a character in one of Tyler's campaigns. Essentially, it just makes you know everything.
Sure.
Which is super helpful if you are doing like investigatory things or if you're in a new place. So
Do you know what book it's from?
it is in the Advanced Player's Guide.
Okay.
And it's common. So it's not a super weird one to grab.
Yeah. For reference, it basically gives you like a bardic lore type thing. So that bardic knowledge that you can just kind of roll on anything.
Yeah. So I have a character who has a really high intelligence score anyway, so it also made sense from like a flavor perspective. But when you start to move into the dedication, you get things like decipher writing, you get a new lore skill that you can only use on recall knowledge, but you could use it for any topic, which is just dumb but excellent.
But awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's other feats in there too. The farther down you go, you can do some different like fun things. So it's really great if you want your character to just be able to know everything at any given time, which is just really hilarious for your GM to then be like, you figured it out again.
Yeah. It's like thaumaturge light.
Yeah, this is where you end up with your GM just being like, here's
the
stat block for the monster. It's fine. You know it. just take it.
This is fine. Cool. So my first one is an uncommon dedication. I actually picked 2 uncommons here, so my bad. But it starts at level 2, like most dedications, and it is from the book Secrets of Magic, and it's called Soul Forger.
Soul Forger.
Soul Forger. So I picked this up because it's literally like being a shard bearer from Stormlight Archive. The books.
Oh, okay.
So if you've ever read those books, you basically have these, they call them shard bearers, and later they call them radiants, where you have like weapons called shard blades that like you can summon as just like from nothing, and then you can like dismiss them, and same with armor at a certain level. And Soul Forger is basically this. You bond with an either existing item or weapon, or manifest one as part of a ritual. It becomes armor or weapons you can dismiss or summon as an action. So you just like pop in, be like, bam, sword, bam, armor. And then when you summon it, you can also like turn it into an essence form that has additional powers. So the reason why I think that somebody who really got into Stormlight Archive literally just wrote this archetype is because you also pick a soul path, which you kind of follow like edicts and anathema.
Okay.
Not a specific deity, but kind of like almost like an oath. But you're basically following an order, and if you kind of stray from that order, you kind of get corrupted, and your armor or weapon manifests in a weird way.
Okay.
Anyway.
Is the intention for this more like you're building on top of an existing martial class, do you think? Or is it more like I'm a sorcerer who wants to hit things?
I feel like this would be on top of a martial class.
Okay.
So like you might be a fighter who is also a soul forger. I, really like the concept of just summoning your armor and weapons when combat starts, and you'd be like, bam. Or if you're like a rogue or something and you want to do an infiltration mission and you have to go in somewhere that doesn't allow armor and weapons, it's like, search
smart.
me, you're going to find nothing. And then 2 seconds later, you're like fully decked.
Yeah, this is kind of like why I love to hand out glamored runes.
Yeah.
And called runes. Like, they're not useful in 99% of the time, but players that are like, oh, I hide my armor.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know who wrote this, but they 100% had to have gotten it from Brandon Sanderson, because there's just too much overlap with this and the Knights Radiant that it can't be a coincidence. So if you want to play a Knights Radiant in Pathfinder, pick Soul Forger. It's great.
Or if you want a good book to read.
Stormlight Archives. Would recommend.
Which of his 87 books is that?
It's his like kind of mainline
Okay.
one. So he has his like Stormlight Archive, which is his like Wheel of Time or whatever,
Okay.
which he's also written part of. But
The
yeah.
man is everywhere.
That dude writes like 8 books a year. Anyway, I digress.
He's the Taylor Swift of writers.
Does he have 4 equivalents for Grammys for book writing?
I
Authorship?
don't know what his literary awards are.
Anyway, Soul Forger.
Soul
Pick it up.
Forger.
Okay, what do you got, Ryan?
So my first one, I couldn't stop thinking about. Sam, what was the name of the gladiatorial nation from
Timon.
Timon?
Yes, we think it's Timon. Could be Timon.
I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I got on a kick on YouTube. So I watched all the action scenes of Russell Crowe's Gladiator. So I picked
Amazing.
Gladiator.
Nice.
And it's a common thing. It's from the player's guide. And there's nothing too fancy about it, but it's so flavorful. You literally get a archetype feat called Fancy Moves, where you like just can use performance to dance in the faces of your opponents and demoralize them. And
It's unfortunate we're not videotaping this. Ryan just did a really cool
a little
dance.
flourish.
He did a
little
very
flirt.
fancy
A
move.
little flourishing. You get to you get additional weaponry. You get to like play to the crowd, which I don't think would be very helpful in 90% of applications. But I have this image of like a bunch of goblins watching you fight, and you're like, gobos, look at me. Look how I slay your brethren.
I feel like if I was a GM on that and a player wanted to do play for the crowd, I'd just roll a dice to see if there was a passerby just like, oh, you're in the woods? Sure, a merchant walked by. Or like, that deer is kind of interested.
You there, dear.
A sentient plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the most exciting, not the most fancy, but I think it's very flavorful, and I think it adds a lot, and it's especially, I think, a good one for the free archetype. If you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to play this, but also they have a background in the arena.
Well, I think
I
that's...
like that too.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of archetypes that you're like, is this mechanically sound for combat? Heck no. But yeah, it just adds a lot of cool depth of a character.
Yeah, like even like their level 8 feat is basically Die Hard. If you hit 0 and there's a applause, you don't hit 0, you stay at 1.
What?
Can the
That's
applause
amazing.
be from your party members?
As long as you have an audience cheering you on, the audience
Oh.
reinvigorates you and keeps you from being knocked out.
Ryan's down. Everybody, free action clap.
Woo!
Yeah, so like there's probably better ways to get that type of mechanically.
You know what archetype that is perfect for? Fist of the Ruby Phoenix Adventure Path,
Oh,
which is all a
see?
tournament arc.
See?
Yes.
That would be fantastic.
See, so there's uses, but yeah, I just really like this one. I think it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Back to me.
Yeah.
All right, so for my second one, I chose one that I have never used before,
Ooh.
and I chose an uncommon one. I chose Bullet Dancer.
Ooh.
I have no idea what this is.
So this is from Guns and Gears, and essentially what it allows you to do is to blend martial arts and firearms.
So this is
Bayonetta?
Gun Katas from Equilibrium, the Christian Bale movie.
Okay, yeah.
Bayonetta would be a good one,
I knew the
too.
Bayonetta reference. I have no idea what Tyler is talking about.
It's like a dystopian
It's a really old.
old movie.
Yeah.
Christian Bale is like the head of a guy or head of an organization.
Christian Bale is the head of a guy.
It's a weird thing.
Anyway,
They're all-
mechanically, you can flurry of blows with guns.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that.
Is how it works. But you have to be wielding a firearm, a bayonet, or reinforced stock.
Oh, so you're like shoot then punch or shoot then stab?
You're like in a stance, so it's like you can make your strikes with those things, but you flurry of blow them.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
like I could shoot, whatever. And then as you move forward, then you get like the like monk things, but in weaponry. So like you get a brawling focus. You can do you can get a pistol twirl. Ooh. Which is a feint,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
with guns. And then there's like some different things that you can do as you like get higher up. I just thought this sounded really fun, and I've never built a character that used firearms except in like just the random characters we've built for this. But I was like, oh, this is fun because I really like doing like battle dancers like that are swashbucklers. So it kind of like blends some of that like movement stuff with also new weaponry. So I just thought it was really
What would
cool.
you put this on top of? Would you put this on top of Gunslinger?
Or monk.
I
feel like I might start with the monk base and then add in the weapons. The prereq is that you have to be able to do unarmed attacks.
Oh, so it does not require firearm use.
No.
Huh.
So you
So
take
you
the
can backdoor
dedication
into
and you have to
firearms.
be expert in unarmed defense and trained in unarmed attacks.
Interesting.
So yeah, I would probably monk it first.
That's a weird way. I kind of really like that.
Yeah.
So you have to have the martial arts skill first, and then you picked up the
They're
gun.
like anybody can pick up a gun. Only a true martial artist can
bullet dance. And I just liked the name.
Nice.
Dan, have you seen the video of Bayonetta spinning around on her hands, shooting guns from her heels? That's all I can keep thinking of.
Probably. I feel like I've seen that game played, but it's been a very long time. So
it's weird.
It's a
it
weird
was
game.
probably one of the earlier versions of it, but
Yeah. Witch shoots guns for heels. Her clothes are her hair. It's a whole thing.
Yes, that part's weird too.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Dancer. There's so many cool gunslinger classes. We just need to do like guns only campaign or something.
Guns only campaign.
It'd have to be an Alkenstar.
Yeah.
We haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
we'll get there eventually.
Guns only would.
Like low magic, high guns.
I mean, you have to throw a stealth mission at that point, right? Like, okay, guys, we all use boomsticks.
I would like to say that whenever we get to Alkenstar, the tagline for that episode now does have to be low magic, high guns.
Okay. So my second archetype is another uncommon one. So it is called Folklorist, and it is from the Adventure Path, Strength of Thousands. So this is an interesting dedication that as part of it, you get this feat called Spin Tail, which kind of works like a Bard's Inspire Courage, where you're using an action to give a party member a buff. So in this, you designate a hero and a villain of the story that you're telling.
Oh my gosh.
And the hero gets a +1 to attack and saving throws against the villain for up to 10 rounds, provided you continue to tell the story as you are.
Oh, this is
in
hilarious.
So the cool thing about the kind of flavor thing is like minor effects of the story you're telling are happening, like magical, like little effects are happening.
Is the villain like, stop it?
Yeah. Stop singing. It's like a Disney movie or something. But yeah, so as you level up, you can you can get to the point where you become a conduit for your hero, and like they can cast spells as if they're from your space using cover and
that's
range
so
and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can use your reactions to increase the AC of the hero you're chosen, or eventually you can target up to 6 heroes, part of your effect. So like it takes a while, but it eventually becomes like a Inspire Courage.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of like a knockoff Bard. If you're just trying to do that, it's not great. You might as well just pick up Bard.
Right.
But I really like the kind of idea of this as a good archetype for something like a monk that has a really good action economy and doesn't really have much to do with a third action. So it'd be cool to be like in the middle of fighting and then like be taunting by telling the story of how your buddy's about to beat the crap out of the
This
enemy.
feels like an Uncle Iroh kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoy the idea of it being the Disney movie where someone is like singing the action.
Let's get down to business.
You get punched real hard.
Anyway, but yeah, it's just like a cool. It's not something I would like base a build around, but like it's a cool addition to a class, like a monk
Nice.
or like a ranger, or somebody who just really wants to like mess with the enemies.
Or someone who has secret musical aspirations.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So my second one's kind of weird. I like to pick weird stuff. It's called Oozemorph.
Ooh, is that from the Slithering?
Yeah, so I've not read the Slithering at all.
What is that? Is it
It's
adventure
like
It's
an
path?
adventure.
It's a I'll pull it up in a second.
Yeah,
It's an adventure, not an adventure path.
No,
I
it's
think
just a module.
a module.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's the background is you have suffered from the deadly touch of ooze,
Oh dear.
or you have been alchemically, like in an alchemical accident.
Oh.
And this turns into you being like part ooze.
This is like the supervillain origin story here.
It's
I fell into a vat. Oops.
yeah, like your first thing is you are plagued by sporadic anatomical rearrangements, which grants you insights into other creatures with weird anatomical arrangements. Yeah, it's just it's very weird. Your throat has multiple separate chambers that give you an eerie echo.
Oh,
Huh.
that's weird.
Don't you...
Ooze empathy. You can connect with oozes and use diplomacy on oozes.
I wanted that to go the other way. Like, you ooze empathy. You understand everyone.
It's not empathy for
oozing.
oozing. You just become a really empathetic person.
I do like the second part of this. In most instances, oozes will give you time to make your case.
Oh, they won't just wrap you up in ooze pudding.
And kill you.
Attention, gelatinous cube. I would like to barter.
I've come to talk.
I'm one of you, kind of.
Uncanny suction.
Oh.
Rubbery skin.
Hmm.
Peculiar anatomy. Your circulatory system contains viscous fluid instead of blood. All
Huh.
just very weird. I don't know that I would ever build a character with this. Maybe a villain. This would be a good villain.
I think so. I think it's the villain origin story.
I just
man.
imagine you have like a conversation, you just start oozing, and somebody's like, I think something's wrong with you. Are you
Yeah.
okay?
This could be fun if like you have an ooze army and it's like, no, they're my friends. They're the only ones who understand
Aw,
me.
I'm gonna go live with the oozes now.
I'm going to make everyone an ooze.
Now I just
Ooh.
imagine it's that dude from.
This is Spider-Man 2.
No, it's the
Spider-Man
original
2.
X-Men movie
Is it?
with the senator who
Oh, he just wants to...
becomes oozy flubber situation and
Does
like melts. He like comes out of the ocean and he's really creepy on the beach.
Gosh, I do not remember
I don't
that.
remember this
This
at
movie
all.
is from like 2001. It's like way back.
Oh, I don't remember this
This is
at
when
all.
Hugh Jackman was young and no one knew who he was.
Man.
Man, I'm blanking on this. I was
Oh.
thinking Spider-Man 2, where it's like, if I have to be a lizard man, everyone has to be
The
a lizard
Amazing
man.
Spider-Man 2. Not Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
or
yeah, because there's
the other
multiple.
Spider-Man 2.
Thanks,
Anyway.
Marvel.
Too many movies.
/ Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, this is a weird one. Interesting villain bait, I guess.
Yeah.
What is it called again? An ooze what?
Ooze
Ooze
morph?
morph.
Ooze morph.
Ooze morph.
Just
Every
wild.
day I'm ooze morphing.
Boop, 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 boop.
This is a wild episode,
This
guys.
is, man,
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
man, we're drinking non-alcoholic beer. It's great. We're going crazy. Going nuts tonight.
Going nuts. Yeah, so archetypes. They're just cool, man. I don't know.
It's a fun way to kind of branch out and make your character unique.
Yeah.
And there's endless combinations.
When you just have like, I don't know, there's one called the Celebrity, which I think Greg picked at one point. And so he's just like, I'm a big gambler and a son of a noble. Also, I'm a celebrity. And it's like, how? Like, okay, how does this work? And it's just fun. Yeah, like looking through, there's, don't sleep on them. They got some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's like only flavor. There are some classes where like you might not just want to take a class feat every time. You're like, I don't know. So take a dedication.
Yeah. Or advocate for free archetype.
Ooh,
And then you just get to do it.
Yeah. I know free archetype. I know a lot of people on the subreddit have been like, that's just default now. I don't think we really do it much.
I feel like we weren't aware of it for the last couple big ones.
Yeah. By the time we got around to it, we just didn't really.
Did you let me free archetype for Fist of the Ruby Phoenix, or did I?
Yeah, I let everybody free archetype for that one because I thought it'd be
Okay.
cool. And then
It wasn't just me. I'm not special.
No, I let everybody pick a free archetype, and then we had one guy join, and they're like, "You can do free archetype." He's like, "Don't make me make any more decisions." You had to like jump in and build a level 17 character.
Oh,
so
that's a lot. Yeah.
he's like, I can't do this.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is totally fair.
But yeah,
All right. Well, yeah. With that, appreciate everybody listening, hanging on through this episode of all episodes.
this was of all of our episodes. This was one of them.
One of them. And with that, safe travels.